Northern Ireland, a small step to a giant adventure. Book your next giant adventure at discovernorthernireland.com.
Hello, you're welcome to Féile and Phobail. It's a talk we're doing today called More Than a Game. Hope you've got the memo, and I'll just read it out just for our viewers. This is a motivational talk with distinguished sporting personalities, exploring the challenges in their lives, their successes, and how sport is much more than just entertainment and how it transcends all boundaries and can unite people. This is part of Féile and Phobail's community engagement and youth arts program, and it's supported by the Executive Office and TBUC, which stands for Together Building United Communities and Good Relations. Part of the incentive for me to chair this was the guests we'll have on. Three of my favourite sports, GAA, boxing and soccer. And so I'm joined today by Burnett, double world champion, boxing world champion, Marissa Callahan, who's a Northern Ireland international and plays for Cliftonville ladies. And we've also got Jane Adams, who probably needs no introduction, Camogie All-Star. And she's got probably more medals than any of us. But I'd like to start, if that's okay, with Ran. Seeing the Olympics are on, Ran, at the moment. Could you tell us any flirtation you had with the Olympics during your amateurs?
The Olympics, with me, I was at the Youth Olympics. So I was at the first ever Youth Olympics in 2010. And it was sort of like, we were out in Singapore in the Olympic Village and everything. Massive competition. And I got a gold medal, beat the world champion in the final, got a gold medal.
Mm-hmm. And were you ever close to was it 2012, Ran, you were in the shake-up?
Yeah, 2012. There was talks of me going to the 2012 Olympics, but after the Youth Olympics, I just had it in my head that I wanted to go pro. That was all in my head. I want to go pro. And after winning the gold medal, coming number one in the world as an amateur, I thought, that's what I want to do now. I want to go pro. And that's when I decided to make the switch.
Okay. I'll jump around here. I'll just introduce our other two guests. Congratulations is in order to Marissa. Suppose belated congratulations, Marissa, for reaching the European Championships. I think the draw is in October. What's happened since?
Yeah, it's been it's quite busy since, to be honest, Brendan. It's been crazy. Obviously, us qualifying for a major tournament was something that wasn't really in the books. It wasn't something that we actually thought could happen if you had asked us 2 years ago. But as you know, we got a whole change of management, and Kenny Shields and his team come in and completely transformed the team and made us into a winning team. And here we are. We were looking forward to obviously the draw in October for next July, but we've also got a World Cup qualifier campaign coming up here in September, so it's just preparing for that really, and yeah, just looking ahead.
And Jane, congratulations to you. I think it's just a month since yourself and Nikki tied the knot down the Merchant. Well, first of all, how was your day? I think it was the fourth time of asking to try and get married with COVID and all the rest of it, and obviously legal issues as well here. But how was that?
It was brilliant, Brendan. It was it was the fourth date. We had changed it 4 times since COVID, but as it turned out to be the most perfect day. We wanted a big wedding, and we were only able to invite 68 people. So it turns out that it seemed even better than it was, because on the Wednesday just before we got married, we had buried my granny. So all our family then were going to the wedding on the Friday. So it was just a wee bit of a pick-me-up as well, just for everybody. And after the hard 16 months everybody has had, and everybody's been affected by COVID, it was good to be able to do something a wee bit normal. And again, I said it before, it was the best day of my life, marrying Nikki, and I'm glad she did in the end. And it was brilliant. Everything was perfect, and couldn't have asked for a better day.
There was a thing you said, you've done an article with my colleague, Neil Loughran. It was a brilliant article, and there was a thing in it that you said about, I'm sort of diving right in here, Jane, but I thought the thing that really stood out for me was about Nikki, your partner. You said, I didn't think there would be somebody I would love the way I love Nikki, even the way I love Camogie. I just didn't think that would ever happen to me. That was a powerful thing. That just jumped out at me. Can you maybe elaborate a wee bit on that?
Yeah, well, everybody knows how much I loved Camogie. Camogie was my everything. It was actually, it gave me saviour in the fact that I was dealing with my sexuality and I couldn't properly deal with it. So whenever I had Camogie, I didn't think about anything else, just Camogie. And it allowed me to disappear into the world of Camogie and not think of anything else, which was brilliant for me. Then meeting Nikki, like I'm Nikki's first partner, and with her being able to just say to me, if anybody has a problem with this, it's them. And so meeting her actually added a new dimension to me personally, because it gave me more confidence in my own personality and give me more belief and confidence within myself. And that's probably outwards. People probably think I'm pretty confident, but I wasn't being myself. I wasn't showing anybody the real Jane. I would just put on a face and go with it, even playing Camogie. And with Nikki, she just showed me that I love you and that's it. And really basically that's where she was able to say that to me. I was able to then love myself. And I know it's kind of like people say, well, if you love yourself, everything else falls into place. It actually really does. And she showed me that it's not my problem that I am what I am or who I am. It's if anybody else has a problem, it's lies with them, and it's up to them to come through that problem, not me.
Was the sporting environment, did it make it more difficult for you, Jane, or not?
No, it didn't. Because everybody obviously knew coming to maybe around about 2010, 2012, probably there was some rumors, but I just didn't buy into them. I just said my personal things are my personal things. So Camogie for me, it probably worked out good that I was part of a team and I was pretty decent at it. And people used to just talk to me about my Camogie. And if they did speak about it, they just said, it's your business, it's not mine. And I have a family that have always known since I was 18 and they've always supported me. So having the background in my family, the support that they give me and the love that they give me, and if I don't want to talk about it, I'm not talking about it. And they allowed me to do that. So being part of a family like that, a support network like that, is also being part of a team. So whenever I was playing Camogie or playing any sport, my team members and teammates, management have always only been supportive, and it was up to me to speak about it whenever I wanted to, and people give me that grace to do it. So I was happy enough and loved playing Camogie, and it gave me great confidence in being motivated and being able to even talk to people and being able to speak to people. So Camogie was always good for me, and it definitely brought me out of my shell.
And how's the first month been since actually being married? I know you get married in Las Vegas in 2018, but it didn't seem to be complete until you did it here. In terms of I'm sure the dynamic of your relationship hasn't changed. I'm sure it's get better.
It has. It has only got better. It's only 4 weeks, but since we've been married in 2018, it's been brilliant. And I know Rad's not long married as well, and only a year, and it does only get better. I think that bond, and it may just be a wee thing in your head that, I'm married now. It just seems that you have a better bond. Or sometimes I would have wee fights over curry sauce or something that don't have wee fights over curry sauce. I let them go. So no, it's brilliant.
Yeah. Marissa, I'd like to ask you, I actually interviewed you. You probably don't remember. You were probably still the worse for wear the day after you qualified. And you sent me the most beautiful picture of Quinn with mommy on the back, and he's touching the screen. Just in terms of that interview, it was a lovely interview actually. What was the aftermath like for you? Did it fulfill what you always would have been hoped? Did you think was it the dream that you always thought it would have been, or what was that experience like for you?
It was, Brendan, the only way I can explain it, it was surreal for us. For myself personally, like, again, I've played for Northern Ireland over 60 times, and for me, when I was younger, I kind of dipped in and out of squads in my early 20s for numerous reasons, but for one that I just didn't knuckle down and give it my all. And it wasn't until I was 26 that I was given an opportunity to they either make a choice. I needed to go and give it 100% or step away and not do it at all. So thankfully I made the best decision I've ever made in my life, and that was to give it 100% and really throw myself into the game and making me the best player I could possibly be. And from then my life has just completely changed. I've been given so many amazing opportunities throughout that time in terms of playing, different countries, playing against the best players in the world, and even within my employment with the Irish FA, it's just opened up so many doors for me. But when the build up to our European qualifiers, we obviously got a whole new management team in, and within our team, none of the personnel changed. We had the same players. We added to it in terms of we brought in some of our youth players, but throughout that European qualifying tournament, we just gelled together, and Kenny and his team just transformed each individual in terms of just took us to another level. And it was at the start of the campaign, the very first game that Kenny had managed us, we got beat 6-0 by Norway. And within that group, there was 5 teams in the group, and we were seeded 4th. So we weren't supposed to even get near, top 2. We weren't supposed to get through the group. And but again, after that defeat against Norway, we had to play them again. Plus, we had to play Wales twice. And they were the top 2 seeds. They were the 2 teams that were supposed to qualify and go on into the Euro final. But it was our second game against Wales that I guess brought the belief that we could maybe do it. And we were away. We played them away, and they were beating us 2-1, and we came back last minute, and Ashley Hutton scored in the last minute. She scored a header to make it a 2-2 draw. So that draw was massive in terms for the qualification, because it then put a seed in our head to say, hold on a minute, if we can draw with the second seed in the group, then why not go all the way? So our journey from those 2 games, the Norway and Wales game, throughout the year, obviously COVID hit. It was crazy time for everyone. The qualification games stopped, and we weren't playing. All we were doing was training. But we thankfully got together last June and trained a lot together. We trained 3 days a week. We stepped it up in every aspect, and thankfully come the playoff games we got through, and we then got to play Ukraine home and away. And for I think when we look back at all our games, it was almost a build up for everything we went through. We had some real highs, we had some real lows. We lost 7 of our starting team. We gained so many incredible youth players into the team, and that night when we beat Ukraine at home was just an absolute surreal experience. I'm sure Ran and Jane know what it's like to, when you accomplish something that, I mean, as you said, it is a dream come true. It's a dream come true for all of us that we've actually qualified for this major tournament. And Ran mentions about winning gold in the Youth Olympics. Like, it's just something that you've worked so hard for, and you've I mean, this is my 20th season in the game, and to get that, I suppose, to get that big kind of win at the end of my career has just been astounding. And I just can't wait the next year to actually be there, and I can't wait for the build up in terms of the games against again we play England in our World Cup qualifiers, and we play Austria, which is a massive game. So we've just got so much to look forward to, and so much to be proud of already.
We'll revisit the Kenny Sheens, and you actually have to mention the fact that you came down to speak to our Somali's under 7s and under 8s. It was brilliant for the kids that night. But we'll come back to that. I just want to, when I was researching your 3 careers, and because the theme of this talk is about resilience and adversity, when I went through your career, I was actually quite depressed going to bed last night, because of there was a lot of adversity, and I'd like to talk to Ran about his career. there's so many issues around that, injury issues. There was a brain scan issue that I think you lost about 18 months of your career. What was that the most difficult part for you, Rand, to actually to come through? Was just not so much the fights, but the injuries and the disappointments and that adversity that it make you a stronger person?
Yeah, I mean, with my career at the beginning was really stop, start, and up and down, up and down. It was all over the place. And when I applied for my professional boxing license, and I had a brain scan, I was actually told, look, there's a problem with your brain, and I'm sorry, but you're never going to box again. I was like, what? No way, this isn't the way it's meant to go. And with the problems that the neurologist said that I had, I didn't believe it. Now, who am I to go against a neurologist who knows about the brain? But something just didn't feel right with me. And so me and the dad began studying about the brain and what way the brain works and everything. And we sort of came to the conclusion between ourselves that, no, I'm fine. And we have to fight this, not just to get a professional license, but to prove to me that actually I am okay. Like I'm fine. And that was a long period. That took a year and a half. And within that year and a half, I wasn't allowed to do any sparring. I wasn't allowed to fight. I wasn't allowed to do anything. So I was stopped from learning for a year and a half even before I turned professional, while I was living in England by myself at the age of 19.
How did like again? You can. I watched the Burnett fight as well, Ran. You know, in terms of trying to deal with that 18 months of not being able to spar and all that, and obviously then trying to come to terms with the injury you suffered against Burnett that night a few years back. The dark moments. How did you get through the dark moments in terms of that? Did it teach resilience?
I've always had this mad belief that this is what I'm meant to do. Nothing can stop this. So it doesn't matter if I get a crazy injury or a doctor tells me that I'm not allowed to box anymore, or if I become homeless, it doesn't matter because this is just the way it's meant to be. So whatever happens in my life, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to keep pushing because I strongly believe that I was meant to be a world champion. And sort of having that crazy belief in the way life's meant to go pushed me through, well, every barrier that I faced.
Mm-hmm. And there was a time as well. I was reading that when you left, you were with Ricky Hatton for a period. He was promoting you or managing you, and then I think, is it true that you actually doorstepped Adam Booth? Adam Booth, for our viewers, is a highly respected trainer, one of the best trainers in boxing. And was it true also, you can confirm or deny, Rand, that there was a period of time your father and you, because you were trying to get a new boxing career, you're trying to get your boxing career back on track, that you're actually living in the car a short period because of, trying to get your boxing career back on track?
Yeah, I mean, when I decided that I was going to leave Ricky, I wasn't thinking further than my nose. So I said, right, that's it, I'm leaving. And when I left Ricky, there was no money coming in then. So I didn't have any money to pay my rent. And then very quickly, I realised, well, I can't pay my rent here. What am I going to do? And I had to move out. So I lived in a car for about 6 to 8 weeks. I slept in a car for.
And like, is that rock bottom, Ran, or did you not view that as rock bottom?
No, I didn't view it as rock bottom because, like I said, I always had this mad belief that everything was going to be okay. So when you're going to sleep in a car at night time and you have this mad belief that everything's okay, it felt as if it was okay, even though you're going to sleep and waking up in a car. It sort of it wasn't as bad as what it sounds in a strange way.
Yeah, it's remarkable actually. And as I say, this talk is about resilience, it's about adversity and stuff like that. So we will come into the light at some stage here. But I wanted to talk to Jane actually. Jane, you hurt your knee. You were out for the guts of a year at the peak of your playing career. And again, reading about that, you couldn't understand. You found it hard to get your head around why everything else is just moving on. It's almost you felt as if you were left on the hard shoulder and the team went on, and maybe a wee bit of self-pity or whatever it was. But what was that? Was that an instructive period for you in terms of, being out for that length of time and missing so much, missing the game that you love to play?
First of all, what I would say is for Rand, from where I see Rand coming from, I think that is resilience in itself. So Rand's only came to the end of his career there in 2019. It won't be to your wee tiny bit older Rand that you'll look back and you'll say, you only got there because of that belief. Like, not many people could live in a car for 68 weeks. That's resilience in itself. Like, that shows to me that you haven't even digested all the stuff that you actually did to become world champion, and everything that you have done. Like, not many people have to go through what you had to go through, the brain scan, everything else. But I think sports people always show resilience better because they have a goal. So my goal was to win the All-Ireland, and there's been many times that we'd been semi-finals All-Ireland, knocked out, thought we weren't good enough, came back 2008, won the All-Ireland, and became the best team in Ireland. Maybe the first, we had three or 4 months out of playing, and then the first game back we played Cushendall. It was a wee dopey game. It was just a wee league game, and I ran for a ball and tore my cruciate. So I wasn't even meant to play the match, and I tore my cruciate. After that, I thought the world had fallen down around me. I kept telling people when I was going to the physio in Jordanstown, he said, how's your head? And I was like, my head's fine. I thought, no, I'm okay. It wasn't until I was going through it, and I was maybe 3 or 4 months in, and everybody started playing championship again, and I was properly depressed. But until I left Camogie completely, I didn't take it as that's what was happening with me. But now when I look back, I know that I was depressed. I know that I'd felt I'd lost everything. There was people who were coming to see if I was okay, giving you the wee odd text. But once games and stuff started, you are just forgot about, and not because you think you're just forgot about, but you have to look at it differently, and you have to think, well, you're not the only person that there is in that Camogie team. There's other people that's going through pregnancies. There's other people going through their own hardships in life. And it wasn't, all that happened to me was I couldn't play Camogie. But for me, in my head, I was thinking, this is terrible, and nobody else cares. They did care, but what are they meant to do? Like, it's up to me to get myself out of that hole. It was not anybody else. So whenever I was able to get back playing, I came back after maybe 9, I think it was 9 months. I was delighted to come back, and then everybody then is, you just go back into it as normal. And I used to look back and think, why did I, now I look back and think, why did I feel like that? Why did I think that I was the light bulb and everybody just had to revolve around me? And because it's not like that. Everybody has their own personal issues. Everybody else has everything going on in their lives. And it took me to get the now to look back and say, what was I thinking? There's nothing I could do about being depressed. I was depressed because I wasn't playing the sport that I loved, and I didn't really have anything else. I'd work, I was already in business, but I let Laura look after that side of things because I was so engrossed in Camogie, and it just took over everything. So whenever that happened to me as well, it probably led me off into a different path where I thought, well, I'm not a boxer. I'm not as, I can't make any money at this. I'm getting older. I have to now take a different path. And luckily enough, I had already started that path, but now I had a different kind of focus. So it was good that I was able to switch my focus in the business. And although that injury was terrible, it now has made me believe that the world isn't just about Jane Addams. The world's about everybody that's playing, everybody that has a sport, and that we all do have hardships, and we will come through them because we are quite focused people, and very we like to aim high, and when you aim high, you will get there, and you will look back and go, my God, that was pretty tough time, but look where I am now, and that's where I am.
I'd like to pose this question to you, Jane, and then Marissa. In that feature that I read in the Irish News, it came across as that. Did you endure your career an awful lot, or did you enjoy it? Because there's so many challenges. You talked about having migraines after matches, which I found fascinating. You had that from the age of 10, and you had for 30 years. You probably still the stress the stress of playing, the stress of trying to be the best, your pursuit of excellence. Every one of us here, pursuit of excellence. That pursuit of excellence, would you look back in your career and say, maybe I should have enjoyed it a wee bit more, or did I get the wrong impression from that piece?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed every single minute of it. Again, when you're so engrossed in it, it's exactly what Ran has said. So when he was living in the car, he probably didn't think it was a hardship, because he probably thought, I'm enjoying this. It's okay. It's just another journey. It's just another thing that I have to do to get to where I want to be. But whenever I played Camogie, when I was playing a match, Breton, nothing else mattered. I just loved playing. I just wanted to be in the sport. I just wanted to try new things. Whenever I was waking up in the morning to go to training, I just couldn't wait to go to training. So when I was playing, especially in those playing minutes, I was really, really enjoying it. It's only now that I did have a conversation with your friend that I look back and I thought, did I actually enjoy it, or was I just enduring it? And in the minutes playing, I really, really, really wasn't enjoying it. But you're also probably enduring as well, because you want to get to the stage that you want to get to, and you would do anything to get there. So everything else for me came second, and Camogie was number one. But just because I loved it so much, and it's incredible that you actually love sport so much, but it took my mind off so many other things, and that's why I loved it. That's why I did love it so much. But endurance, yes, but in the playing minutes, I enjoyed it completely.
Yeah, I was I'd done an interview with Peter McGrath, famous All-Ireland, Down All-Ireland winner, manager at 91 and 94. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting in his house, and he made a comment about he actually regretted giving too much over to his sport. He says he left other parts of his life unattended. Mm-hmm. Was there a part of that, Jane, for you?
For me, I think whenever I think everything's fell into line for me, Brenton. So if I wasn't in the position now where I'm completely in love with Nikki and married and happily married, I'd probably look back going, like, I'm 40. Where am I? But whenever I met Nikki 4 years ago, it was like, okay, that fell into line for me. I think I had all the stepping stones and everything all paved out for myself, that whenever I was playing, I gave it everything. And whenever the injury hit, I thought, hold on. So I did step off a wee tiny bit, but not too much. And then I was able to put the stepping stones in place for my business as well. So now looking back, yes, I did give everything, but it wasn't until 2008, whenever I did have the injury, that I decided, right, you need to go into different areas here. You need to look. So for me, if I had continued playing after like 2015, I probably would have started thinking that. But now, because I'm probably a later developer in love and whatever, then, and in business, then no, everything, I don't regret anything that I've did in my Camogie career. I'm just happy and that I'm in the position that I am in now. And I think everything just aligned itself. And I do believe that I'm in the best place that I possibly could. And I have kind of the best of every world. I have the best of, I've had my sporting career. I achieved everything that I set out to achieve and some more. I'm married and very happily married, and I'm successful in business as well. And that won't stop me from striving to do better in business also. So I'm in a really good place with it. Like,
very glad to hear. Marissa is in the middle of her career still, her playing career.
Well, we can say the middle.
well,
we're towards the end.
Yeah. Yes, and that's what I'm actually getting at here, Marissa, because when you came down to talk to our girls a few weeks back, and we were talking before the actual talk with the kids. And you said that, you know, it's a year away, you're 35, you were concerned about your physical capacity, hope the legs hold out and all those things. But what I got from that short conversation with you was, again, enduring it. Are you enjoying this period, or is there that stress attached to it, hoping that you don't get injured, hoping that Kenny still sees you as a fulcrum of the team? It's a year down the line, you know, you're in the twilight of your career. Is that stressful when you think about all those things? Because I got that vibe that you said, well, I just hope I'm going to be okay to do it.
Yeah, see, listening to Ran and Jane, like for me, everything has just happened. Everything happens for a reason, I think. And it was interesting listening to Jane when she got her injury, her ACL injury. and it almost made her flip a switch in terms of, right, Camogie's not my only thing, I need to look ahead. But when I look back on my career, I kind of done it differently. So when I was younger, football and sport, I was a sporty kid. I was a tomboy. It was something I was good at. I wasn't the smartest kid in the class. I just loved to play sport. But when I reached 18, I got an opportunity to go to America on a scholarship. So it was something I jumped at, and I went over there and stayed there for a few years and had an amazing experience there. And my football career here, I played for Cliftonville. It's been a club I've always played for, but in women's football in Northern Ireland back then, 20 years ago, I was in one of the lower leagues. It was something you played socially. You played it, obviously because you were good at it, but you played it because of the friends that were around you and your team. And, for me, a massive reason why I play football was the social aspect of it. As a young kid, I grew up in Davis, and I went over to North Belfast and started to play for North Belfast team. And it opened up so many avenues for me in terms of getting to know people from different cultures and backgrounds. And obviously I got opportunities to play for youth Northern Ireland teams under 15, 17, 18 level. So whenever, fast forward a bit, when I went to America and I come home, I actually come home from America thinking I don't want to play football anymore. I've done it, I've been there, I've done it. Just because at that time we didn't even have a senior international team. So there wasn't really anything to kind of target towards. Jane speaks about, I want to be an All-Ireland champion. Rand speaks about, I want to be a world champion. Women's football was just Northern Ireland didn't even have a senior team. So it wasn't like you had that kind of goal, right? I want to be an international player. I want to whatever. So for me back then, it was a social aspect. But anyway, I decided I wanted to give it up. But my manager who took me at Cliftonville phoned me up and told me to weigh my neck in. So I did, and I went back to training. So for me, between my kind of 21 to 26, I played it again for fun, for the social aspect, for every other reason than, winning leagues, winning medals, whatever. And in those 5 years, I again dipped in and out of the international team, because then in 2004, the senior team was set up, and it was there. But again, there wasn't much success within it. But I was lucky enough, as I said earlier, when I was 26, Alfie Riley sat me down in his office when I was working with him, and he gave me this pep talk and basically told me he wanted me to be part of the squad that was going into the World Cup qualifiers. He told me, if you don't take this opportunity now, you're never going to get it. So it's basically up to you to choose what you want to do. And the funny thing was, at that time, I just met my partner, and I remember having a chat with her after it about it, and she was like, "You're crazy. Why would you not go and throw everything at this opportunity? Like, it's an amazing opportunity. Go do it. You don't want to have any regrets." And that was a massive thing for me. I didn't want to have any regrets. I didn't want to be sitting at 35 going, why didn't I just, do that? Why didn't I try and see where I could go with it? But lucky enough I did. And between the age of 26 and now, it's almost a good 10 years I've had internationally, and it's been absolutely unbelievable. And within those 10 years, I can honestly say I've enjoyed every single minute of it. And it's because I feel very lucky that I was given the opportunity. Not many sports people can say that at 26 I can go back into kind of elite level sport. So yeah, for me it was making that decision and just kind of rolling with that. But people talk about sacrifices whenever you're trying to be the best you can be, but I have never seen it as sacrifices, because I love going and doing my gym sessions. I love getting up and training. I love doing my meal prep. I love everything about it, because I know I have such a short space of time before I'm going to have to put the boots up and hold my hands up and say, the legs have given, I'm too old. But what I will say, whenever my young son was born in 2019, it does kind of become a sacrifice, because you're giving up time that you can have with him, which is quite hard. But again, everything happens for a reason. He was only young whenever the pandemic hit, and I was able to get a full 12-week off work through through the scheme that the government brought in and through furlough. And so I had so much time with him and I was able to do my training and everything around that. So just to answer your question, I'm loving every minute of it, and I'm just trying to take it all in, and I'm trying to enjoy the moment, and I'm going to try and enjoy the next kind of 12 months and get to the Euros and just see where I am after that. But whenever I speak to people all the time when we're talking about the Euros next year, and it's kind of a joke there's like 5 or 6 of us, it's in our 30s in the squad. And, it's a kind of joke that we banter with each other because, I mean, the youngest member of the squad's 18 and we're running around like, 35. We know we're coming to an end, and it's just a bit of a joke we kind of have amongst ourselves. But yeah, it's something that I'm just going to just enjoy every minute of it, and I can't wait to be there next year.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to ask Ryan, actually, sorry for jumping around, when the fear I have for Ryan, or the concern, I don't know whether concern is probably the right word. Your professional career was so short, Ryan, and you achieved so much in that unifying the bantamweight division. Funny, I think the picture is still there on Cassidy's bar of you, and when that was painted, I thought it was Carframpton actually, and I tweeted thinking, isn't that nice that Carframpton's put on Cassidy's bar? And then some smart aleck put me right. He says, no, that's Ryan Burnett. The concern, and it mightn't bother you at all, Ryan, that to do what you've done in such a short space of time, but I don't think you get the praise, the adulation, whatever it is. I interviewed you one time before one of your big fights, can't remember which, and you could tell that getting interviewed wasn't your thing. You would happily just go and train and turn up for the fight. You didn't market yourself. But does that bother you? Your legacy, people will maybe look and say, they talk about Frampton, absolutely, because what he's achieved and other fighters, Michael Conlon and guys like that. How does that sit with you?
Well, you're talking about it's accolade and sort of what people think of you. There's a lot of people out there that want people to think well of them and want everyone to know them. And that's just the way some people operate. For me, I was asked to do interviews. I was asked to go on TV programs. I was asked to do this, do everything. And my response was always, no, I don't want to. People had asked me, why don't you kick off at a press conference? Like I was told, kick off a wee bit at a press conference, create a wee bit of hype. I would always say, well, no, I'm here to punch people in the face and win a belt. I'm not here to be a marketing genius. Now, if I had been that way, yes, I would have been bigger in the public eye. But did I take value from that? No, it wasn't who I was. I love boxing. I love fighting. And that's what I was focused on. So if you ever seen my press conferences or anything like that, I was always a nice guy. I didn't care. There could have been people slobbering at me and I was like, yeah, whatever. I could have marketed that a lot better, but it didn't mean anything to me. Accolade and being more known than what I actually am, it doesn't mean anything to me. This doesn't mean anything to me. So that's why I went about my career like I did. I've achieved more than what many have and probably ever will. But it's not seen on. A lot of people don't know it. It's not, I don't know, not appreciated enough probably by people simply because I didn't market myself in that manner. And I'm okay with that. I'm completely fine with that.
But boxing aficionados will remember the skill set that you had, Ryan, which I suppose that would mean something to you. Guys that actually follow the game and will look back on that and say, do you remember Burnett? Do you remember how tough he was? You had the full skill set. But I'd just like to ask you in terms of the Donaire fight, you got an awful injury, a freak injury, and that basically ended your career. You came back a year later. I think you fought in the Ulster Hall and just the buzz wasn't there. First of all, can you just articulate for the viewers what that pain was like that night? Because you were coasting, you were going to beat Donaire. Donaire was a fancied fighter, but you were going to beat him. You were well on top. You had the measure of him, and then bang.
Yeah, I mean, I was starting to really settle into the fight. I was winning the fight, and then I got that injury, and the only way I can...
It was a back injury, wasn't it?
Pardon?
It was a back injury, yeah.
So I ripped my internal oblique. So my internal oblique, it ripped in half, and I went down, and it was just... It's hard to explain. It was as if the insides were pulled out of me. And as I said to myself, if I can get up and I can keep fighting, well, I'll see what's happening. I might be able to survive it. And when I tried to stand up, the pain was just horrific. But I was able to get to my feet. And the referee said box. And when the referee said box, I started moving about the ring. And obviously, because my adrenaline was going so much, I was still moving. But I went back to the corner. And when I was in the corner defending myself, the muscle came off my hip bone as well. But as I said, if I keep fighting, I'll be okay. And I kept moving, and I did as much as I could. And I went to the corner, and Adam's a very experienced guy. He's been in the game a long, long time.
Yeah.
And he said, I have to pull you out. I said, no, don't. I can still fight. And obviously he's seen things like this before. And he's basically said, if you can't defend yourself, you can't fight. And obviously I had to listen to him, and he called the fight, called it off.
And after that, then you to come back and try and relaunch your career again. What that fight must be very, very tough for you, Ryan. You're in the ring and you just know it's not there.
It was. I think I was out for a good, I think nearly a year or so, and I always was saying it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. But when I was training, I wasn't fine. But I was always saying, no, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. And fighting is an extremely dangerous sport. And if you can't operate at your 100%, then it's dangerous. And I just simply couldn't operate at 100%. And that's when I decided, look, I'm young. I can step into something else. I have a family here to think about. If I get badly injured, well, what's my later life going to be like? So after weighing all these things up, it was the smart option to call it a day. Was it a wrench to do that, to say that's it? That's a full stop and there's no encore here. That's you done. Was that difficult psychologically to get your head around that? It was really difficult because I had planned on fighting for a longer time, and like I was 27, I think at the time, 27, I think, and that's still young as a fighter. And I was sort of just, okay, that's it, done. And I went off the rails a little bit, sort of lost my way, and I was drinking heavy, and I was just doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And my partner, Laura, she had said to me at the time, you need to get a grip here because you're on the road to nowhere. And that's when I sort of wised up to myself and said, well, if I don't get a grip of this now, that's me. What am I going to do? Throw away all the money that I've ever earned? So that's when I sort of screwed my head back on and said, right, it's time to focus. It's time to get going on something else. Are you happier now, Ran? I know you've got the gym and it's going great by all accounts. Are you a happier soul now? Because boxing, well, it's not easy. The training camps, the weight, all those disciplines. Where are you in your life now? Well, whatever you focus on grows. That's true. Whatever you start to focus on will grow. And it could be so easy for me to focus on, I'm 29. I could be a boxer. I should be a boxer. I could be making millions. I could be winning world titles. That I could be doing that. I physically have the skill set to do that. So if I focus on that, my life, I'd be depressed. I'd be in the gutter. Yeah. Or I could focus on, I have an amazing wife. I have an amazing home. I've now created a business that is serving me well. So it all boils down to what you decide to focus on. And now with my life, I decided to focus on, I had a great life. I was 2-time world champion. Now I have an amazing wife. I have an amazing business. And I can live a normal life, so to speak. So that fills me with great happiness. I mean, I'm very happy now because I choose to focus on better things in my life.
What was the best thing about boxing? What was the best thing about it? Obviously not training camps, Ryan, but was it?
It was the money.
Yeah. Yeah, the money was good. I suppose you can't divulge what type of money you were earning with those big fights. I can't even pronounce it. The guy Zanat Zakhanov. You beat him. It was only 4 months apart from Hotskin's fight. But the money was rolling in. Were you thinking a guy from Barnegia? I went to Barnegia myself. I remember speaking to you about that at that interview that you don't remember. And thinking, here's a Barney boy's done well. And then you're getting a check coming through the door and you're thinking, what is that like?
I had a massive appreciation for that because I did have a brain problem. I thought my career was over. I have been homeless with no bed to sleep in. I lived in England for 9 years, basically on my own, living out of a suitcase. I know what that side of life is like. So when I was getting this money, it could have been so easy for me to go and buy a Lamborghini and just spend it like a 24, 25-year-old could do. But I was smart enough to know, well, I know where I've been and I'm not going back there. So I put money away and I was smart with it. Due to my wife, my wife made me like that. She's
a good accountant. Your wife must be a good accountant then. What was the absolute peak of your career? What was the most satisfying moment of it?
The most satisfying moment of my career. If I'm honest, the most satisfying moment in my career was to be able to go, I bought a house and I'm now mortgage free. That's it. Like that was, I think people would go, oh, world titles and fighting here and fighting there and fighting there. It wasn't, because I can remember the night I became world champion and I would go back to the hotel room. And after this massive high, there was a massive low. I was like, this isn't the way it's meant to be. I just became world champion. I should be the happiest that I've ever been as my life goal. And I turned to Laura and I was like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And she's like, what do you mean? This is all you've ever talked about. And that's when my goals had changed instantly. In that moment, I was like, it's not about the world titles. It's about later on in life. Can you provide? Can you put food on the table? That's what it was about. And then like a year or two later, I bought my house and I was like mortgage free. And I was like, well, I own my own home now. I think that's only happened because of boxing. So that's probably one of the highlights of my career.
Yeah. And we'll revert to poor old Marissa, probably playing virtually for free at Cliftonville Ladies. I'm bringing my girls to watch this tonight. By the way, what is the best thing about playing football? Marissa, you're a lefty. There's something more artistic about a lefty. I think you're a lefty. Am I right?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
What is it? Is it a dribble? Is it a goal? Is it the camaraderie of a team? Is there one thing that you say, that's why I love football?
It's hard to pinpoint one. Football has been a massive part of my life since I was a little kid, and it's given me so many opportunities in terms of making friends, seeing different countries, being a role model young girl. It's like I owe so much to the sport. I can't even begin to explain it. And because the sport has given me so much, I just want to give back to these young kids. So now I play for the young players. The game has grew enormously in the last 20 years, and I'm lucky enough to be able to help that grow even further within my playing career and my job role. I work for the Irish FA and my role is Girls Participation Officer. So I get to go around the country and try and empower young girls to come and play football. And it's not even about them playing football, it's about them getting into sport, because sport allows you to, become the person you want to be. It allows you to grow in confidence, allows you to make so many friends. I wouldn't be the person I am today without that game of football. When I was a young kid, I was so shy and lacked so much confidence. And I remember when throughout my young my young life, when people used to speak to me, like I couldn't even speak to them back, so my face used to go red. Like it was awful. Like I was just this real kid that lacked so much confidence. But when I played sport, because it was something I was good at, it just brought me out, and it was just, I always felt in my comfort zone within it. But playing for Clintonville Ladies, being involved in the international setup has made me grow massively as a person. And as I said, I just owe so much to it. So at this moment in my career, and my goal is to now be in that squad for the European finals. So I will work my ass off to make sure I'm in there. But as much as I spoke about, it is a sacrifice now because I'm missing out in some time with my young son. He is also my motivation because I want him to be there next year. And then I want to be able to show him, when he's older. I mean, he's next year he's going to be almost 3. He might have vague memories, I don't know, but at least I can sit down with him one day and show him the photos and basically try and empower him to believe that he can do whatever he wants in his life. Like, I mean, I was a young kid, grew up in Divis, spent most of my early 20s in a bar drinking, and now I could be going to European finals as the captain of Northern Ireland. So you just have to believe in yourself. You have to surround yourself with people who believe in you, and just be yourself. That's for me, that's when I found out who I actually was, and I was comfortable with that. Then everything just fell into place after that for me.
I'd just like to ask Jane about, it's a thing that I do, maybe to my own detriment, when I'm interviewing sports people. I want to get into their heads and say, what is it that you love doing? There's many some matches I've been at, hurling matches, Gaelic matches, boxing, or whatever, but there's something special about hurling and camogie that I would love to be able to do that. When you see somebody hitting the ball, just that perfect timing, I'm imagining that must be the greatest feeling in the world when you hit a great point to win a match or whatever. Is there anything? It's very difficult to boil it down, Jane, to 1 or 2 things, as Marissa said there. But is there something about the game that you say that's why I love it?
There is, Brendan. You've said about like you get up, catch a ball, and you stick it over the bar. The keeper's headed to you, and it's just 2 touches. It's over the bar. There is something special about that feeling. Best thing for me, and again, I could have been a runner. It's an individual sport. I could have done a few individual sports. When I look back, my best and most favorite thing is being part of a team, and that's why I'm happy now as well that being in business and employing people, I also see myself again as part of a few different teams. So being a part of a team is probably my most favourable thing about playing camogie. Although I did love scoring a couple of goals, and I did love taking the ball over the head and straight on. I like trying different.
You dropped a few too, Jane, didn't you?
I did indeed, but sure, that's where I learned from. So no, it's been brilliant. It has been absolutely class, but being part of a team was probably my most favourite thing.
I was talking to Neil Loughran a couple of days ago about you, just my cursory research for this talk, and he said that you were again, it was back to that enduring the support, the migraines and stuff like that there. But there was another story he told me about that he included in. Tell the story about where you broke your hand and it was a big game, and you insisted on your daddy taking off the casts because you didn't want Jim Nelson, your manager at that time, to know that you were injured.
Yeah, I was only 16 at the time. I had been brought on the senior panel, so I was delighted even to be part of it. I got on in the semi-final. I scored the winning point in the semi-final, and then during training, I broke my hand. So I think we had 2 weeks up until the final, and I used to go to training in Jim's car, so I couldn't hide anything from him. He knew I had my plaster on. He knew I was still going to training. I was still running with all the girls when they were doing the running sessions, just couldn't play. And a few nights before the match, I said to my daddy, please cut this off. And my mummy as well. And my mummy was all for it. She's like, right, get it off. My daddy said, why? And I said, because he can only name 20 people on the panel. So it means if I'm not named on the panel, I won't get a medal, which I think it has changed now. But at the time, there was 30 of us in the panel, and we could only be named 20. So the next, my mummy and daddy cut it off for me, and Jim came to training, or to pick me up for training. It's like, where's your cast? I was like, oh, I went back to the hospital and they told me it wasn't broke. And he's like, I did again. So I said, okay. And then again, I did it on my last, when I was playing for Rossa in 2016. I broke my hand and I think it was 36 at the time and 35. And my daddy said, you're not cutting this off again. I said, Daddy, it's the last match I'm ever going to play. Cut it off. And he said, no, I'm not doing it. And I said, well, I'm going to cut it off myself. So I want you and my mummy to be part of it, so I don't feel any guilt. So again, they cut it off for me. So yeah, that's what I did.
He also said to me that he says Jane Adams could still play at the highest level. I tend to agree with him, but do you get time? Well, first of all, can you answer that one? And secondly, was retirement difficult?
I believe I could definitely still play at the highest level, without a doubt. I genuinely do think that, but the commitment has to be there. Ran said it. You have to, like, if I want to play Camogie at the highest level, I have to be completely focused on that. I'm all or nothing, and to try and start dabbling in it again and not completely focus on it, I don't think it would be giving myself true justice. But I do believe that I could do it, no doubt. And sorry, what was the second question?
The second question was, do you get pangs of,
Oh, not really. I'm happy now that I can, Jada, Nicky's daughter, she's 18, my wee stepdaughter, and I actually enjoy going to watch her play. I enjoy whenever she comes back and tells me all the shuttle runs that they did and all this, but I don't miss not playing anymore. When I see a match, I go, I could have done that and I maybe could have done this. So that's when I miss it. But no, and retirement was okay for me because I knew that if I didn't want to focus and give it all, then I couldn't continue to be the best. So I wanted to step away from it before I started disliking it or having any ill feelings towards it. So I was happy enough to go when I did.
Yeah, just you've sent me 5 text messages to get a plug in about pizza guys.
I'm going to ask Ran about Manny's. Ran's never heard of Manny's. Ran used to, when Ran...
That's why I put on all this weight.
Exactly, Ran. That's why you're such shape. So, Pizza
Sorry,
Guys,
go ahead, Jim.
Brilliant. Sorry, Pizza Guys has been class. It has been brilliant. And don't you be telling any spoof. You send me messages every night, Brenton, look at I got the night. And the kids...
My kids are addicted.
We're supposed to Glen Gormley Manny's as well, so...
Yeah. My kids are addicted to your the chicken strips. And you didn't tell me that one time I rang for a delivery and I rang and booked in Andersonstown instead of down the road. Yeah, but we got to sort it out. But just last one with Ran. Ran, do you watch boxing fights and do you ever think, do you get pangs of, I could still do it? Is there part of you, or is that gone?
No, it's always, it's still there and it's always going to be there. I see boxers, even when I'm watching people at bantamweight fighting, and I would turn to my wife and I'd be like, I could beat him. I could definitely beat him. And she sort of plays along, but yeah, of course. But in my head, when you're watching fights like that, you get itchy knuckles and you're like, I know the techniques here, but I've came to terms that my career is over. I'm very, very happy with what I did and that sort of. But I think as a fighter's instinct, you'll always have that. I can definitely do that. I know I can, but I mean, at the time, it's just a nice thought, and then it quickly passes on. I'll go and get myself a Manny's and I'm okay.
It's because you're still young enough, Rand, to do it. That's probably part of it too, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You see boxers becoming world champion at the age of 30, 35, and I'm only 29. So sometimes that's a bitter pill to swallow. But like I said, whatever you focus on will grow. And when you start focusing on, I could definitely still do it. So you get into your own head, or you can choose focus on, I have a great life outside of boxing, and that gets you over the hump.
Just like a final question to each of you here. I'll ask Marissa first. I don't know what it's like to be a role model. Do you want to be a role model? Is it foisted upon you? But whether you like it or not, you probably are role models. How does that sit with you, Marissa?
For me, I look back at my own experience. Whenever I was a kid, I didn't have a female role model to look up to. And so for me now, it's important that I if I can be a positive influence to a young girl or young kid, then I'm okay with that. Because I think we can, in terms of what we've achieved, and what we're about to achieve in terms of the Northern Ireland team, like we can have a really good positive impact on these young kids, and we can actually hopefully inspire some young people to want to wear the green jersey one day and to want to go and pursue their dreams. And if that's the play for Northern Ireland, if that's the play in the professional game. But yeah, for me it's important, just as I said earlier, football and women's football has been just an amazing thing for me growing up, and I just think so many girls and women can kind of get a positive experience from it.
Mm-hmm. And just before Rand puts that poor lad through the mill for the next hour, same question, Rand, how does the role model sit with you, or is it something you'd rather keep at arm's length?
No, I enjoy being a role model as such, because I've experienced so much and I have such a knowledge of hardship and what way the career goes and stuff. I have a lot of young boxers come to me for training, and a lot of the time it's talking. It's because boxing isn't just about fighting, it's a lot to do with mindset. And I strongly believe I have a good mindset when it comes to boxing and the aspect around boxing. So it's good when a boxer comes to me and go, well, what about this? Or I'm sort of struggling a wee bit with that, and I've got all the answers to sort of help that lad. So it's that side of things, it's good.
Mm-hmm. And same to you, Jane. Role model, you are absolute role model to so many people, especially in Antrim. You know, you're maybe cited so much in team talks with young camogues coming through. You know, same question to you. Is it something that sits easy with you, or are you thinking, here, hold on, it's steady?
No, it's okay. It's I suppose it comes with the territory that the three of us are in. This is being a role model isn't thrusted upon you, and it's whether or not that you can take it. And I've learned over the years that I can shy away and not be a role model, or don't want to do interviews and whatever. But I've been given this job, I think, and if I can inspire a couple of people and even more, then I'm happy with it. A quick story before we go: I was in Manny's, again, giving myself a wee boost there, but a guy who has come into the shop, an elderly fella, has been coming in for 10 years, had come in and said that he'd watched another interview that I had done with Féile, and he said, Jane, I didn't realise up until I watched your video that my son is gay, and he used to put himself out and he looked to go in straight home from school into the room and not speak about it. And we used to think, it's okay, we accept it, son, we know it, but why are you hiding away in the room? He mustn't like us, he mustn't like his mummy and myself. And he said, but until I watched you, and then until you said exactly how it was and how you were feeling, and you weren't the one that you weren't happy, he said, you made me laugh and you made me cry. He said, because I didn't realize that it wasn't our problem. He was suffering himself. So for me, if I can help anybody in that capacity, or in women's sport, or in anything, I'm happy to do it now, and I'm happy to accept the challenge. So I'm happy enough about being it.
That's great. Well, listen, just before we go, I'd like to thank you all. Thanks, Jane. Thanks, Rand. Thanks, Marissa. You are three people, it sounds a bit trite this, but you're three people I have huge admiration for. I didn't cover the boxing a lot, Rand, but it's one of my favourite sports. I think what you've achieved in such a short space of time is remarkable. And I hope your legacy, people remember that. And I think your legacy among real boxing fans, people will remember that. And I think that's important. And Marissa, you're in the middle of it. Yeah, well, not the middle, the twilight, whatever you want to call it, but you're on the doorstep of such great things, and I hope you stay injury free. Keep coming to talk to the girls. Yeah, keep coming to talk to the girls. Encourage them, and just keep doing what you're doing. You're just an ambassador, I think. And Jane, you know, same thing. Just great girl, everything about you, and what you've achieved. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to three of you, and continued success.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks very much for it.